G'day, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. In this video today, you're going to see some Hell Let Loose gameplay. And yeah, I just wanted to get this up. A lot of people don't know about this game. It's on console and PC. It started off as a PC game and then got brought across to console. It is a World War II first-person shooter, hyper-realistic milsim, all that. It is really good. It's a lot of fun. It basically works solely on teamwork. You have to relay and follow orders, work together as a team to achieve objectives, and it's all about communication. As you can see here, super slow. I only got iron sights. You can do like a small little aim in thing, but most of the time you really don't have a good picture, or you can't see too far away to engage targets. So a lot of fights are happening pretty close up. It's a great game. I really hope people check it out. So today we're just going to talk briefly about just a general overview of the game. There's a class system, there's garrisons that you can spawn on, so they're like spawn points. As you can see here, I'm flicking through them trying to figure out which one I'm actually going to spawn on. And there's just so much detail in this game. The whole game revolves around teamwork and combined arms. You have things like artillery, you've got recon squads, you've got tanks, you've got a commander that then can call in bombing runs or can mark spots for the artillery to drop bombs on. So the whole game relies heavily on communication. If you don't have a mic, then it's going to be really hard for you to get the most out of this game. And not just that, you're probably going to frustrate a lot of people because they're going to be trying to talk to you and pass on their intent, and you're not going to be able to, acknowledge it or tell them, pass on pertinent information. Like if you see, an enemy tiger tank approaching your tank from the rear, you want to let that tank know, hey, there's a enemy tank behind you. It's about to hit you in the weakest point. So communication is completely key. Now, all the maps here are real places. As far as I'm aware, the battles here all really took place. So the inspiration behind all of this was real life events between 1939 and 1945. So, and there's a real sense of historical accuracy around this. Like you feel like you're a part of history when you play this game. Like there's no other game that really immerses you and then has that atmosphere as well. When you've got the ground vibrating under you because you've got tanks rolling up next to you and you're crawling and supporting armor and you're firing and you just see this side of the hill getting obliterated and you're trying to attack it. There's no other game that does it quite like Hell Let Loose. The game is not without its faults. It's quite a small development team. I think they've just been bought out though, and there's some big plans coming this way for Hell Let Loose. But in the meantime, there's some small things. There's a little bug where sometimes you can't throw a grenade. It can be a struggle to vault over the smallest objects. Sometimes you get stuck on things. So there's little annoying things like that can frustrate you sometimes. But overall, the game is really good. You have to spend a lot of time thinking, is this the best place I can be right now? Should I be shooting from here? What if I get shot from here? Where am I going to hide? Where am I going to return fire from? Am I in cover? Will this cover stop a tank round? Will it stop a sniper round? You need to be thinking about your position at all times. It's not enough just to run across open fields and stuff. And I find the people that have the bad time in this game are the ones that are just trying to run through the middle of a field and they get shot and they can't understand. You need to flank around. You need to stay in cover as much as you can. And all those things will allow you to have a better time, but also to stay alive and be more useful to your team. You just see there, this guy nearly got the jump on me, but I was able to shoot him with the M1 Garand, super solid weapon. And in terms of communication, like here we go, I see a tank coming past, I pass it on to my team. I know that I've got an anti-tank player in my squad, so I allow them to see that it's coming and then they can take it out. I think I could say that it's a medium tank when it's actually a light tank. Now, there is a bit of a hierarchy in this game. you've got different classes and things like that, like anti-tank and engineer and all that sort of stuff. But right at the top, you've got your officer or commander, and the commander's job is to basically set the strategic tone for the game and then pass on any pertinent information as well as resourcing the entire battle. They do that through nodes and things like that. So you should really listen to your commander and follow anything they want you to do. Now, don't forget, commanders can also move around the field and see where they, and place supplies so they can get to them, and then they can also use those supplies to build garrisons and stuff as well. Now, the officer basically will tell everybody, they'll tell the squad leaders what to do. So there's a command channel, and on that channel, the squad leaders will be listening to it. The officer will then tell the squad leaders what his or her intent is, and then it's up to the squad leaders then to pass that down in their squad chats, so that the squad can then, they have an understanding of what's going on. And a good officer will give squads tasks. You might have, obviously you've got like a recon squad, so that's going to be a sniper and a spotter. Their tasks are going to be, punching through the enemy lines, getting on the other side of them, and then harassing them from behind, and or keeping their artillery in check by, eliminating enemy players that get on that artillery piece. When you have a commander that doesn't have that, and you don't have a recon team doing that, it can be a very, very long game. Just there you see that I kill myself, because I noticed we've taken that point, and then the next point, the commander, we've got a good commander here, he's already set up a garrison there. And it's, 900 meters away. So I could spend 20 minutes running, but instead I'm then just going to redeploy, which I've done here, and then spawn on that garrison, and I'm much closer. And it also catches the enemy on the back foot, because they're probably still stuffing around in that point that we've just captured, which is exactly what happens here. They don't redeploy fast enough. We get onto the next point, and we just, from there, we win the game. We just start steamrolling them because they're constantly on the back foot. And that is all because we had a proactive commander who got that garrison down in a good spot. So this is a good example of a commander who's experienced, who knows what he's doing, and you can't really hear the chat, but he's giving a lot of good orders and sit reps basically of what was happening around him. Now, another chat tree that you can use here is like area chat. So I'm pinging some enemies here for my squad, and then I notice that there's a lot of movement, and I see this MG gunner set up in front of me, and he doesn't seem to have seen it yet. So I just changed to my different channel, let him know, hey man, there's a lot of dudes over this way, I give him a bearing, and then lo and behold, a whole heap of enemies spawn in, and he just lights them all up. So he probably would have got a few nice little kills there. But what that also meant was that we could now push up this left flank, take out that enemy garrison, which is what they all spawned on, and then that stopped them from reinforcing the point. So that was a huge play there by us. It doesn't look like much, but when you play this game, that's a massive win. We just knocked out, at least 15 players. They've got to then suffer through a 1 minute cooldown before they can redeploy on anything. So that's hurt them greatly, and then from there we can just push onto the point and capture it. There's a Tiger tank here. Now, tanks in this game are super effective, but they are also super vulnerable to infantry. They're very slow moving. So again, this is where teamwork comes into it. When you are using a tank, you need to have infantry support with you to keep your flanks and your rear covered, because the vulnerable points of a tank are its track and its rear. So if you can get a shot on there, it will damage the tank greatly. Now, in regards to other classes, you then have your squad leader. Your squad leader basically commands a section of troops, and they are responsible for relaying the commander's orders and then giving those orders to their squad, ensuring that the squad carries that out, and then, having a conversation backwards and forwards with the commander as well. The squad leader can build garrisons for the commander, so the commander can drop supplies, and then the squad leader can see those on the map, go there, put down a garrison for the team to spawn on. Garrisons are they're the nodes in which the team can to spawn and then move forward across the map. Without them, you can only fall back to your headquarters spawn at the other side of the map. So it can be a very, very long run if you do not have garrisons down. If you play in a bad team, it's a running simulator. You just spend half the match running only to get killed when you get there. it can be very frustrating. So having good squad leaders that are looking on the map constantly, putting down garrisons, putting down their OPs for their own squad, and you can also use them as a bit of a like early warning device. So when you put an OP or a garrison down, if enemies come within a certain distance, they actually change colour. And that signifies that there's enemies around them, obviously. So you can then look at the map. If you can't see anyone, but you look at the map and see, oh, my OP's red, then you know that there's people there. So then you can, either hide and wait for them and ambush them, or you can go and hunt them down. The squad leader it's a very important role. You need to have a mic to fulfill that role, essentially, because you're not only receiving orders from the commander, you're then passing those orders onto your squad. So if you don't have a mic, maybe squad leader is not the role for you. You should try something else until you get a mic. And then you've got some other classes. So you've got like anti-tank. They can have a satchel which you place onto a vehicle to blow it up, or they can have a bazooka or a Panzerschreck, depending on which team you're playing for. You've got a medic who can revive. They're the only class that can revive. You've also got a machine gunner, automatic rifleman, a class called assault. There's an engineer, and the engineers are super important class as well, because not only are they anti-vehicle, they can also build things for the commanders. They can build nodes, they can build fortifications, barbed wire, tank traps, bunkers. It's a super important class. Got to have an engineer. There's also a role called support, and that support player can drop a small amount of supplies, which generally is enough for a squad leader to get a garrison down. So very important that you have a wide mix of those classes. You can only have one of each, except for the rifleman class. The rifleman, you can have multiple. And the rifleman class, at first glance, seems a bit obsolete, but there is some stuff in there that's really useful. They can drop ammunition, and they can also have smoke grenades as well. So, smoke is a double-edged weapon in this game. You can stop the enemy from seeing you, but then also, you can't see the enemy, so they can move and change position as well. So using smoke needs to be thought about quite a lot, and you need to have a plan. Don't just chuck it, willy-nilly, because you can hinder a lot of stuff by just throwing it everywhere. So like I said, you can only have one of each class. Listen to your squad leader. Like if you come in as a rifleman and the squad leader says, hey, Spatsnaz, I actually need you to be a machine gunner, then I'm going to switch to machine gunner, because my job is to, help the squad leader out and be useful to my team. And that's what this game is all about. It's about the teamwork and being useful. There's no point me Operation Own showing it, grabbing a rifle and just heading off by myself. Not only am I going to frustrate everybody, but I'm not going to have a good experience in this game either. Like I said right at the start, the best experience in this game is when everything's working together, everybody's working together, and things are flowing. The communication's there, and you're winning matches, because you want to win the matches. That's where the XP is in this game. If you lose, you don't get the 50% XP bonus, so you're only getting half the amount of points. So winning is actually quite a big deal in this game. Also, you get to hear your nation's song, which is cool. And, if it's a clan battle, which I am in a clan, I recommend being in a clan, especially when you're new to the game, because there's a lot of guys in the clan that, they love this game. They live and breathe it. They know all the ins and outs. So it's the best way to learn. So if you're new, try and find a clan that takes on or recruits beginner players, and then ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask for help if you don't know how to do something. Don't fulfill those key roles until you have an idea of what you're doing. Be useful. They're probably my two biggest tips for playing this game. Now, as you can see in this clips here, I am in a tank. So we are in a light tank, or it's the German one. It's also known as a Duff Duff, because the unmistakable sound the gun makes. It's a 3-seater. So you have a driver, the driver can only drive, and then you have a gunner, the gunner can only gun, and then you have the commander's seat. The commander seat, they're the only spot in the tank that can ping for you to see. So the commander's seat's very important. They can also, generally, the commander's also in the command chat, so they can hear other squad leaders talking about tanks and relaying information, so you really do want to have someone in that commander seat, because if people aren't dropping pings or markers for heavy vehicles, then you've got no idea, and you're just going to get, especially in a light tank, it's a one hit from any other tank basically. So your quality of life isn't going to be all that great if you don't have that commander in that seat. Now, I touched on it just then, but the pings. So basically, any player can drop a ping where they see enemies. Squad leaders can do a little bit more. It's a little bit more in depth. They can they have like a big wheel, and they can mark things like garrisons, enemy tanks, light tanks, troop movement. They can request artillery, so drop in artillery markers. They can request supplies. They can do a whole heap of stuff. So it's all in that wheel. So it's really important that when you're playing a squad leader, if you see people ping stuff, then you need to pass that on. Ping it permanently on the map so everyone can see it. Now, as you can see here, I am building. So we're sandbagging. I just thought I'd put this last little clip in because it was a really good defense. This is a really hard point to hold, but the team that I was in here, we did it really well. So we're building these walls here. I'm in a supply truck right now. The commander asked me to go get supplies. So I've got 2 supply crates. I am absolutely hooking it to the front line. As you can see, I'm getting shot, so I'm letting everyone know, and they're trying to provide a bit of cover for me. They get some smoke out for me. Now, when I drop these supplies here, as you can see, so I drop one, and then I drive forward where he wants the next one. See the ping? So then I drive forward, drop the next one. Now, that's going to allow the engineers to start building stuff. So I can now take that truck and go back to the HQ, drive it through the resupply spot. It'll resupply it, and then I can come back. So sometimes, in this game, that might just be your task. It is just to keep driving supplies to and from the front line. It's not a very glorified job. It's not very exciting, but somebody needs to do it because you need supplies in this game. If you don't have the supplies, then you can't build anything, and then the enemy can just roll straight over the top of you. So you've got to have those supplies. So quite often I'll just get in it and just start doing it. You do get a lot of experience and points for it. So if you want to level up your engineer or your support, they're good ways of doing it. It's just ferrying supplies. So the engineer's dropped a blueprint here. I'm in a class that has a hammer, so I can just start building. I don't need to be an engineer to build. You just need to have the hammer. Squad leader's just telling me that these have got to go up. I know that there's enemy out there, so I'm staying low, trying to build as quickly as I can. It is, unfortunately, quite a long time. You can upgrade each thing 3 times, and it basically takes the same amount of time each time, but uses more and more supplies every time you go. So just build another one, build some barbed wire. Now, the enemy here drops an airhead off to the flank, off to the east. I can see that they're coming, but I make the decision rather than engaging to just keep building, because this barbed wire and the walls is what's going to slow them down. I've got a Thompson. It doesn't have the best range, so all that's going to happen is I'm going to get up, stand and deliver, and then just get knocked down straight away because they're all probably carrying rifles. So anyway, you're going to see I jump over the wall, pull out my Thompson, and just thought, you know what, I'll have a crack. I get about half a mag off, and then good night. And that's it. And then so here, this is the final push. You can see there's only a minute left on the time. We were building like madmen, getting supplies up. And I get a nice little flank on him here. So I cut this first dude down. The Thompson's just unbelievable. I get in cover here. So I'm so happy that I built this wall, because it just allowed us to... And there's a machine gunner there just going absolutely ham. And then look, you can just see them all here. And I think I get a few there. And then my commander goes down to my left. And I jump in there to have a squiz. There's a machine gunner there, the MG42. It was Buzzsaw doing some work. And I get this guy here. And look, I think that's about it, guys. Thanks very much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this. I really think you should give Hell Let Loose a go. It's only a small development team, so there are some little issues with the game. You can't jump over some stuff, and just random little things. But it is an amazing game. It is a good time. It's all about teamwork. If you are not enjoying COD, you're not enjoying Battlefield, check it out. It is a great game. As you can see here too, little things a lot of people don't know is you should award accommodation to people in your squads. It gives them 10% extra XP. So it's 10% extra for nothing. So make sure you do that. Make sure you like and subscribe to the video. Thanks very much for watching. And I hope you're well. Take care. Goodbye.